My name is Brenda Miller. When I moved to Leadville, my last name was Lacey. Most of the people up here still think of me as Brenda Lacey. I was born in Dallas. My husband got a job up at Climax, and while he was there, he had heard that they were hiring women. And he came home and he says, "You need to go apply at Climax. That's the only job up here that's going to pay enough to pay for our babysitting." And so I did. I went up there and I told them, "I am not an office worker." And they said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to put you somewhere where you don't have to do office work." They ended up putting me underground. I was on the 600 level stope crew, and that was the production crew. This is where they would haul in all the ore and things, and they would load it onto the trains as they went by. We were the ones that drilled the holes and blasted them, and I learned a lot about stoping and mining. I was only underground for about a year, and that's because I learned I was not a good underground miner. That jackleg that they had me trying to use weighed 10 pounds more than me. More often than not, I would hit a slip when I was drilling, and when I would drill, that steel would stop and it would throw me on the ground. I was good entertainment for the rest of the crew. They did leave me up at a shot once to guard a shot, and while I was there, the men left. They went down the ladder, they went down the drift, and they said before they left, "We'll come back and get you when everything's over with." And so, sure enough, the shot went off, I saw the fire go, and here comes a fireball at me. It knocked me over, knocked my hard hat off, knocked my light out of my hard hat, and then it was all done. I could see smoke, and that was just about it. I found my battery pack for my light. I pulled my light back to me. I could turn it back on again, and that was a good thing. I found my hard hat, and I put myself back together, and I thought, well, that's it. I'm going to leave. I'm going to quit. I can't do this. And so as I got towards the ladder and I'm getting ready to leave, here comes that crew, and they're all laughing. I thought, I'm not going to let them get the best of me, and so I stayed. My supervisor heard about this little stunt that they pulled, and he took me aside and he said, "Brenda, they're looking for women to put up in the open pit, and I'm going to put your name in. You need to go up there and work before these guys really do hurt you." And so that began my mining career up in the open pit on the powder crew. When I got up there, they told me, they said, there's different things you could do. You could be a truck driver, you could work on the tool crew, you could work as a mechanic, you could work on the powder crew. And I asked them about the powder crew, and they said, that's a great crew to be on because it's straight days, and I think you would like doing that. You just have to know how to shovel. So I went up, I started on the powder crew as a laborer, and I did a lot of shoveling. I had a great mentor. His name was Buster Beck. He told me he was the best blaster in Colorado, and I asked him why. And he said because he was the oldest blaster in Colorado. He taught me everything he knew, and eventually I ended up being the supervisor on that crew because of Buster. Women in mining at Climax was pretty much like the attitude that the men had back in the 1800s. Women should not be underground, they were bad luck, and along with that, they were taking a job that a man should have had. There was a small group of us. I think we were some of the first ones that started up there at Climax. Some of the women had good jobs underground. They got to drive the motors, they got to work in the tool rooms, and they were good jobs for them. They put me in the stopes. They had me running jack legs. They had me rough bolting. But it was just real obvious those men did not want women underground unless they were going to work in somewhere like the tool room. They didn't want to work alongside them. Over the years, Climax made a lot of changes to our blasting crew and the way that we used our explosives. When we first got there, we had large tubes of slurry that we would load up in our powder truck. We would take that up to the shot. We had to drop those down the hole to load the holes. But anyway, eventually they had heard about a new company. It's called IRECO. It was like a slurry that was, ammonium nitrate and lead and oil. It was fuel oil. And they loaded it all up on a big pumper truck. That pumper truck would come up to our blasting site. They had a big hose, and we would load those holes with primers and primadettes before they would pump those holes, and then we would measure it. We tried to get somewhere around 1,000 pounds of slurry per hole, and then that would set up and become hard. And that was the best thing that ever happened to our blasting crew up there, was Irico with their slurry.